Rule 42. All persons more than a mile high must leave the court immediately.
1, 2, 3, 42.
Today's rule is rule number 12. Don't be a backfiving gazeke.
Stella? What is that? Well, Lemonhead's are good for anxiety.
The Slim Jims are behind the lemon. They fell down.
I do see 2 bottles of water, though, so nice on that.
Yay! See, Jen.
Yes, in there. I am. You
And the lemon,
water.
hard lemon candy is good for anxiety.
No, that's why. Well, yeah.
Like crazy.
But I'm like a crackhead with these things now. Is my mic right?
Yeah, you're good.
I sound funny in my head.
We all sound funny in our own heads, don't we?
Could be the medicine.
Yeah.
There you go. All right, sending to Linda right now.
Okay, which one's Linda?
She's not the one who, so we have an end-of-life coach, which could be...
I know, I'm so excited about that.
Talking about that before. That's interesting.
Oh, man,
Linda's-
Lemonheads on air don't do well.
No, they do horribly. Linda's cool. She's like all sorts of volunteers. She's an actor. She's a producer. She's a writer. She's a professor. She does all this volunteer shit. She's super cool, and she's not like a crazy liberal, which is also kind of cool.
Oh, she does this sleeve thing, right?
Yeah, she does some cool shit, really cool shit. Like she's one of those people who is always doing something. You're like, how the fuck are you doing this? And she like rides horses too.
What? I want to ride horses.
There you go. Go down to South Orange, New Jersey. You can ride.
I was talking to this guy that he does equestrian stuff, but he like works with training. I don't know, something with Olympics. I didn't understand. The only thing I hear about horses is that they race and that they're fun to ride.
They're fun to ride.
You've ridden, Jen?
Yes.
So just start with that.
No, I mean, not like I wasn't like any like professional rider or anything. I just like for fun.
Like there's all different types of riding. So like this guy was talking about training horses in the equestrian world, and I'm thinking, oh, racehorses.
No, they have those ones that like walk all funny. They do like the steps and stuff and the
Dressage. I learned about that from Linda Beck. Yeah, they
Well,
kinda...
apparently Olympians also do not train horses that race.
That's true. they have jumpers and they have like all sorts of weird shit. But talk to her. Just say, yeah, you want to ride horses. We'll start
They're
right
so
there.
cool. They're like prancy.
yeah.
They are.
Tommy, it's your turn.
I don't prance.
You realize we look like the crew from Hamilton?
Little bit.
1, 2, 3, 42.
Oh, hi, Linda. Welcome to our little symbol here. Sorry about that.
Love this. I came in at the perfect moment.
We were trying to prance like horses.
We were actually discussing you and and your equestrian experience.
Yes, he's giving me far too much credit with that title. I'll warn you. So, like, by equestrian, it means I take a riding lesson every month because I can't afford anymore, and my son rides every week. But I did grow up with horses, so I'm a little bit of a poser now. I mean, I'm not going to Florida for big show jumping events or anything like that. But do either one of you ride?
No, but I hear equestrian and I think horses, like race horses. So I'm like, oh, which horse did you train?
I
think today
it was Secretariat, of course.
Duh. How could I not know that? Well, Linda, welcome to our crazy, insane world here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for joining us. We don't know what rabbit hole we're going to go down because you are a mother of many.
Yes, if you include non-human entities.
I do include non-human entities because I'm not really sure why that gets left out of the equation for moms. Because guess what? We take care of it all and we don't complain. And somehow people think that means we can just do it.
I know, it's true. And, in my family, everybody knows that the cat ranks number one, and then it's the two kids and then it's my husband. It's like the cat is.
I am pointing at the Jen square.
That's like mine too. My cat's a douche, but I love him so much.
That's why it's this like natural inherent woman thing, right? Where like we need the abuser somewhat in our lives, and it's a safe place to have a cat abuser, right?
I mean, he definitely.
Tommy's wiping his brow over there.
I know.
We have a cat now against my wishes, and the cat's a douche. And Christine loves the freaking cat. It's weird, but we have a dog for 13 years.
There's a reason we like to be spanked every now and then.
Linda's like, what did I get myself into?
Oh, it's quite the opposite. I think you know me too well.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me. It's 5:00 somewhere. So sorry.
So how do you three know each other? How do you know Tom?
Okay, so I actually met Tommy through hockey because I dated a friend of his. Tommy gets so awkward.
Dated. It's more than dated.
Okay, we have 3 kids together. Woo. I have 6 though, 7. I have 7 kids, and 3 of them are with his friend. But we met through hockey, and then Jen and I met through cheer. Now we all 3 know each other through me.
There you go.
The connector. Audrey's the connector of the bunch.
Of these 2, and he has now connected us to you.
Yes, exactly. Well, Tommy is the ultimate connector, I think.
He really is. The people I have met being around Tommy are very interesting and very enlightening and very everybody has a story to tell.
It's true. I'm going to tell a story. If you go any place with the man, he instantly, he charms everybody, and this is his trick. His trick is geography.
Yeah. True.
He'll be like, "Oh, you're from Nepal. Capital is blah blah blah," and they
Kathmandu.
Instantly Kathmandu, Kathmandu, and instantly the people are like, "Oh." He'll spit out some kind of like Kastasha, like some kind of Nepalese or Sherpa term, and they
Dhanyabad. Yeah, she got it. That's my secret.
You heard his latest secret, right?
Whoa.
No.
Whoa.
Wait, this is a mom's podcast. Hold on a second. I'm just in the background here.
Excuse me, don't be interrupting my secret telling here.
What's the secret? I gotta know.
So do I.
He is in the halls of Madison Square Garden.
Oh, that's true.
Oh, no, I didn't.
Now that's his new draw. See? You did know.
Yeah. I saw it on the Facebook.
That's it. You guys are blowing me up, and I'm getting a little embarrassed. So let's get back to the mom podcast here.
Back to you, Linda.
All right. But half the fun is making fun of you, Tommy.
Yeah,
It is. Our favorite thing to do is make him blush, right, Pops?
Yeah.
I know. We call him Dad now.
Oh, we actually went to an event, and we called him Dad, and the girl goes, "Isn't it so nice getting these family pictures?"
Listen, somebody has to be concerned and looking out for the safety and well-being of everyone, so I'll take that moniker and run with it.
Including Christine, apparently, because my 5-year-old decided that Tommy was her dad.
So you're gaining kids right and left.
Yeah, they're 40-year-old kids. No, back to your wonderful story. Yes.
Yeah, Linda, tell us about you.
I don't know what you want to know, but let's have a pleasant conversation. And I'll tell you a few of my weird interests that I'd love to get people into. So, obviously I work in animation, but it's really confusing for people because I'm out and about doing so many things. So I have been confused for years. I was a scout leader, and for years and years and years. And I always wear this leather, it's actually kangaroo skin, this leather Australian bush hat. I wear it everywhere. And so for years, I guess it gave off a certain impression. And the scout leader, the whole leader of the whole pack, said one day, he's like, okay, he's introducing me. He's like, Linda Beck, she's an archaeologist. And I was like, okay, that's a new one. That's fun.
Sing.
Yeah, so he for years had just assumed that I was an archaeologist because I'm always picking up things off the ground. And in like true, actually, I almost went to school for archaeology, so that one's not completely out of the blue. And then the other one, I was picking my kid up from camp one day, and this little kid comes over and he goes, "Will you come meet my mom?" And I said, "Sure." And he goes, "She's never met a botanist." And I was like, "Okay." So I actually come from a crazy lineage of like famous botanists. So that one was kind of right on. So I think what it is that I'm always picking things up and always taking pictures of things and always IDing things. And I collect a lot of like fun facts. Tommy, you do the same thing. You have like a brain that just like categorizes things and puts them in drawers for later use. And so I do a lot of things that are outside that have nothing to do with animation. And so I really, really love history too. So I'm always nerding out about, Revolutionary War reenactments and things like that. So
I love those.
You go to those too? There's some really great ones in Jersey.
Go into the towns and stuff, and oh yeah, I'm all about finding out where we come from and how we got where we are now. Continue.
Well, wait a minute. No, then I have a crucial question here. If we're looking at the American Revolution, do you think you would have been on the side of the British, or do you think you would have been on the side of the American settlers, or not the pre-American settlers, the colonists?
If I was like reborn,
or if
current
you're during
mindset
that
that I have.
Well, let's couch that too, because Audrey also, Linda, she's a vet. She's not.
I know.
Yeah.
Service, Audrey.
Thank you so much. So I would have most likely been on the colonist side.
Yeah. She's just a rebel. Look at her. You can tell she's wearing a black hat. She's like, I'm ready to bear arms. I mean, I'm trained. Jen, what about you?
Yeah, I'd probably be the same. Definitely.
You'd be on. Yeah.
How about you?
Well, Tommy, I want to hear your response first. Cause,
you know exactly.
I do.
If everyone's going in one direction, I'm going the other direction. No.
And the screens, at least the orientation that I'm looking at, it's split so that Tommy are on one side and Jen and Audrey are on the other. So I think I might be leaning towards the Tommy side because I have been reading a lot about this over the years. And the whole Boston Massacre thing, do you know how many people actually died in the Boston Massacre?
No.
Not a lot.
6. I think.
Really?
Yeah. And so, but it was totally fake news. They totally did a whole propaganda thing where they sent these letters. They called it a massacre on purpose to really inflame the anger of the colonists. But then the British, the whole time they were here, they were like, wait, no, we're your friends. It's our job to be here and to keep the peace. They did not want to fight with the colonists. And the colonists kept spreading these kind of not insightful, but like inflammatory type reports about what was going on. That's
a good marketing strategy.
That is an excellent point. But I mean, and I'm not saying the British weren't guilty of the whole, no taxation without representation thing. But at the same time, I mean, over the years, I realized that I was moving on the dial and I was becoming more and more, like anti-Whig, anti-revolution, and more like, what are the English really doing wrong? Maybe we could talk to them a little more about this taxation, representation.
So I would go in the direction that I would in terms of the colonist, only because they're so far. The British, it was so far, and it's so hard to understand and communicate with people that are so far from you what the needs of the people are. So by the time you had been able to communicate all of these issues or concerns that you have in terms of taxation, your grandchildren would have been getting the answer.
It did take a little while to send those letters across the ocean.
Yeah, so much more than a little while. And
those postcards to the White House, they take a little while.
You can't just show up on their lawn tomorrow because something happened today. So it's definitely it's easy. It's easy to look at the components where they were embellished, but that's how you generate what you need. They weren't winning. They did have to turn the tides. These were people that were fighting for their today so that they have a better tomorrow for the people that live there now. not for their ancestors, but for now, because that's when they wanted to change. They didn't want to wait through all this bureaucracy and red tape that they had zero control over, let alone like who do you communicate with? There was no there was no government structured the way that we have it now, and the communication that we have now we take for granted. We're able to broach issues as they occur. They weren't able to. So that would be my reason.
Yeah, Audrey, the spokesperson for the colonists. I love it. Don't tread on Audrey, guys. Don't tread on Audrey.
And look, I would have been part of that marketing. We would.
My mother-in-law got me a teapot for Christmas, and it says it's the reproduction of the No Stamp Act teapot, which I love, and I love it so much. My kids, back to parenting for a second. My poor kids have, like, they go in and they think that these are arguments that everybody has around the dinner table, and so they'll go in and be like, well, I mean, but I'm a Tory, and everyone's like, what's a Tory? They're such nerds. I mean, they're normal kids. Like, they're not, I'm not saying they're, they're going to Juilliard. They're going to, they're not like, they're normal, awesome kids. But Jeremy and I have forced them to, like, not roll their eyes when we're at, a museum or something like that, as much as they want to, as bored as they are, as much as they're thinking about Minecraft when the person is actually talking about, King George III. But anyway, it's, with kids in general, I mean, what is everyone's kid? What are your kids into?
Oh, there's so many of them.
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
They're all so different, and they all have their interests are so.
Jen, what is in your background?
There we go.
What the?
What?
Oh my gosh!
There it is. There it is. Finally.
So that's Harry Styles.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, he just likes to kind of watch in on us. It was a gift for my daughter for her birthday. My sister sent it, and he's just kind of been floating through my house. And he kind of landed here because everywhere else he was scaring people. So he doesn't scare as many people there, except for the people who are doing podcasts with.
Yeah. Although, to me, so Harry Styles, you look at him and you're like, that looks like a nice guy. I wouldn't mind if Harry Styles babysat my kid. That looks like Ron Jeremy. From where I am, it looks like you have Ron Jeremy behind you.
Yeah, you can.
That's awesome.
He's a nice guy. The outfit's not that great that he's wearing. He's a nice guy.
For Ron Jeremy, that's more clothes than he doesn't wear.
Hey, Ron.
It's not bad, though. Linda, you're 1650 before you notice him, so that's pretty good as far as...
Yeah.
I'm so okay, this is so hilarious. I'm so glad that...
Everyone usually will be like, is someone thought it was my husband? They're like, is your husband standing behind you?
Have you all seen that video of, I can't remember if it's a politician, but it's, he's during COVID, I think, and he's doing some kind of Zoom, not press conference, but just kind of interview. And all of a sudden you see the door in the background creak open and a kid comes in on a tricycle. And then you see his wife come and grab her and then crawl out.
That's awesome. I loved those. Some of my favorite videos to watch were the COVID ones where people were having meetings. And it's like, everybody's going, Linda, you're on a Zoom. We can see you. Linda, don't pull your pants down. Oh, everybody hang up. Linda's going to the bathroom.
Oh my
Well, that happened with Jeffrey Toobin, the writer. He didn't realize he was still on the Zoom after he was working for CNN and the New Yorker, and he didn't realize he was still on Zoom, and he started going to town on himself.
And I saw a guy do that
on the Zoom,
too.
and he got fired. Obviously, he's back on CNN, of course, but he got fired from the New Yorker because
Wait, why? Why would you get fired?
he took care of himself on the Zoom.
It's not like he did it on purpose.
Right.
People do. You can't tell. People do that. Like,
Yeah, I mean, it is natural. I mean, it's not like you're like, hey.
Fair enough,
Yeah.
but you're on with all your colleagues. It's a little weird.
I mean, he
Well,
didn't go.
he ended it off. I thought you said the meeting was over.
Well, he thought it was, but they were still on. And he
Oh,
went
they
with
weren't done. He was
Right.
just decided to be done.
Yeah.
And it's frowned upon.
Yeah.
Needed some release.
Did y'all meeting? Did you all see that? I'm sure you saw this. The lawyer who could not get the cat face off. So he's deposing somebody, and he's got like this cat face on.
He's like, I don't know how.
That Yeah, you know what? These kids think that we're a lot more savvy with our computers than we are, because I wouldn't know how to change filters or do backgrounds or any of that. And my kid, I think my 5-year-old knows how to do all of those things.
Oh, yeah. My 13-year-old is constantly going, Mom, 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 put the phone down. Just stop touching things. Stop touching things. All you need to do is this. I'm like,
They're like, Ma, you realize you just gave it like 50 commands at once? I was like, well, then it should have listened the first time.
totally. Yeah, they need to have mood responsive phones, right?
Yes.
You know, it's like, what temperament?
She's angry, just open.
Just do whatever she wants. Voice command.
Right.
Oh,
We
we
used
should have like a hormone tracker.
It should. Exactly. We used to have this play this game on the set at Nickelodeon where when we were bored or whatever, we were between takes, where we would imagine what people were filled with at any given moment. so there were people who were just always filled with cotton balls, you know, and like dandelion, you know,
Yeah, they're just happy.
exactly, happy. And then there were people who were, you know, definitely filled with shrapnel, you know.
Oh, those are the toxic ones.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or with like a gooey liquid, that sort of thing. And it was like, you can't make this person explode. Or maybe you want to make this person explode with laughter because it will be cotton balls, but then it might be the gooey liquid, like that sort of thing.
I've seen videos like that before.
Where they explode different
Gooey liquids.
items.
Gooey liquids.
We don't want
Gooey. Well, you were just talking about one with gooey liquid.
Right.
You know?
It was. Well, hold on a second. It was fine a second ago. Now you're like, ugh, gross. But a second ago, you're like, no, it's normal. It's fine.
Well,
wait,
because
we're not talking about the gooey liquid coming out.
Apparently we are.
Welcome to
crossed
Rule
over.
42.
yeah, and now no one knows what liquid we're talking about.
We were talking about our kids, and now we're talking about gooey liquid.
We had Ron Jeremy mentioned a minute ago.
There you go.
So, I mean, hey.
Listen, rabbit holes. Mom podcast.
Exactly.
Man.
Although it's really cat holes. Ooh,
It
that's
all
really
circles
terrible
back.
expression.
Yeah, that's.
I actually did the other day post up something that was like, fuck it, I'm just going to get cats and call it a day.
It's every person's dream, or at least I don't know, my dream.
I'm getting there.
I love the cats. My new favorite are these German ones.
Oh
They're
my
these
God.
German British short hairs.
Show
And
her.
Yeah, I need to see that.
They're like my new obsession. I love them, and we need to go to Germany and like get these cats because I love them.
Do they speak German?
Yeah. Da? What do they say? Yeah, da.
Da.
But I can see Deutsch.
They just had babies.
Oh.
They get chubby and like fluffy.
Oh.
Like, how do you not love that?
It's
Like,
true.
fuck.
It's true. I would eat some Spätzle and Spätzle.
Oh my god, I would love them so hard. Like,
I could not
Like-
get into their food.
look at the adult.
Yeah, and they look a little cranky, which is just the way you want your cat. You know, like a cute cat is not to be trusted. You need the cat to have a little bit of an edge.
Audrey
That's
Audrey,
Jen's cat.
as a German
Yeah.
resident, said she could not get into German food. So I don't know if you want to go down that route.
Not even Spätzle. I just
No.
I don't know why I did this gesture. That's more of an
Everything was
Italian.
like very salty for me.
What?
And then in Germany.
Oh,
So I was actually stationed in Germany, and I was also young, and like I didn't quite have the palate I have now, and you go from eating rice and beans and some kind of meat to like a menu you can't read, and you're just like, where's the rice?
and everything has way too many syllables. It's like
Yes.
Sweden and Germany. So my favorite German word is Beckfeibengeist. Do you know what it is? It means Beckfeibengeist. It's punchable face. Like you have a Beckfeibengeist. Yeah, and don't we need an American or English word for punchable face? I mean, you're talking to somebody and you're trying to be polite at a party, and all you can think of is, I want to punch you in the face right now.
Yeah.
Annoying. Beckfeibengeist. I think I'm saying
Ivan guys.
That
We
is
ha-
awesome.
We have that in America. We have resting bitch face. Is that similar, you think?
it's just
No,
that's
that's not
enough of
the
punch.
You don't really want to punch someone with resting face. You
Right.
just have them
They
angry.
just look
You
unapproachable.
just want to walk away.
All right. Noted.
People, you just want to punch them in the face.
Yeah, some people are just douches that you're just like, please stop talking.
I know. You
You
know,
realize how ignorant you sound right now.
Oh, you guys have some pent up anger there, huh? Holy cow.
no, it's because every one of us, whether we know it or admit it or not, what can at some point in her life be a total playground bully. And so, like, every once in a while, you see somebody and you think, if we were in fourth grade right now, I would not have been nice to you on the playground. And I was not a bully, but you play act that part. Like, yep, you're the one I would have been mean to on the playground. Isn't that classic?
Talking to Tommy the other day, and we were talking about how you will have an interaction with someone, and years later, you'll just be laying there and the conversation replays in your mind and you have the best fucking response you ever could have thought of. And all you want to do in that moment is like call them and be like, yo, so you remember back in like 1997 when we were out and you said this? Well, this is what I was supposed to say.
Doesn't land as well though.
No,
later.
It doesn't.
But then they're the ones that you do. And my friend Daniel said that, you know, there's moments when he's walking through New York City and he feels like this is before Taylor Swift. He felt like he had to shake off the bad memories. So he'd be walking down the street of New York City and he'd be like, ugh, and he'd like shake it off. But another, like one of my favorite really terrible response stories is a friend of mine, her brother-in-law was driving. He's like a hot shot down in Atlanta, was in a red convertible, and he cut some guy off in Atlanta traffic, which is some of the worst traffic in the world, other than Bangkok, I think. So he cuts him off or whatever, and he's like, realizes it, and the guy honks his horn and he goes, asshole, and light turns green, and Mike just goes, you are. He's like, that's the best I could do. You are.
Dude, you know he drove away like, I sounded like a dick. That was such a pussy response. He's reliving that moment, trying to figure out what could I have said.
Just walking through New York City trying to shake it off.
He's shaking it off.
Yeah. Like I wish
he's like, dang it, Linda, I just got over that.
I know. And now I've reminded him of the whole terrible story and his whole family who made fun of him ruthlessly for it. But, you know, I do like every once in a while, you know, when you're having a day and it's a particularly good day or there's a really good song on your Spotify or whatever, and you think like, I'm in an indie film right now. I'm the star of my own indie film, you know, and you just wish that everything that came out of your mouth was scripted by really good writers, like the writers from The Good Wife or like Wes Anderson or like those lines. And then you realize, no, I'm just a bobo. I'm just a complete bobo. And I'm not going to say anything eloquent or remotely interesting right now.
So you lean that way, and I'm like more like Arya Stark, Game of Thrones writers.
Yeah.
Hold on. Linda's a huge nerd. Here we go.
Oh, I can Game of Thrones up.
Down with Game of Thrones writers any day. I will take you. Please script my life.
So wait, are you House Stark?
I am.
Okay, Jen, are you what house?
I like House Stark too.
Right. Okay.
The Red Wedding kind of destroyed me though. And every episode after that, I was like a nervous breakdown because now you had no clue what was going to happen. It was like, they'll kill anybody.
I know. And then I hope it's not a spoiler for anybody listening, but also
never seen it. No.
Single episode. Such a good show.
Never seen it.
Stop having cocky.
How do we close Tommy's block?
All right, now I'm mute.
I don't know. I kind of feel like, I mean, I just loved Tyrion. I love Peter Dinklage. So I kind of feel like I'm House Lannister.
Well, you have a type, apparently.
I do. No, although I have a giant House Stark mug. My friend used to work at HBO, so she would give me all the Game of Thrones like crew gifts.
Yeah.
So one was a giant House Stark beer mug. And so she's like, clearly you're House Stark. And I was like, yeah, House Lannister. But then she also gave me the crew hoodie, which is the warmest, hugest hoodie. And it has those little thumb holes because apparently the crew was freezing all the time because they were out there in the snow with white wolves there. Yeah. So I don't know. I haven't seen House of the Dragon. Have you seen it?
No. I started watching it.
And then I haven't finished like getting into it just because life.
Well, I think the first episode was the one with the pregnancy.
That's an ominous way to start a sentence.
Or
Well, no. So wait, this is the one that came out on HBO, right?
yeah,
Right? It's
And-
House of the Dragon? Is it
yeah,
House
House
of
of
the
the
Yeah,
Dragon.
and then that because it's been a while now, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it's been.
And I think that there was a lot of like back and forth on the first episode. Have you seen it?
No, I watched it with Gus, but I don't remember. Like,
After I told you not to watch it.
yeah,
Yeah, so I actually couldn't. I had a really hard time with that episode because I was
Oh. you told me not to watch the Sex and the City.
Oh yeah, that was the one I
That
told
was
you
the
not
one.
to watch.
Two very different shows, ladies.
Yeah, totally different shows and different stories. But the episode on the Game of Thrones like thing, I was pregnant, and the first scene had like a really like horrific like birth scene, or the first episode. And it just Jen could tell you. Jen, I'm not gonna have any more kids. Because
Yeah.
the last time I spoke to you, you really looked scared. So I'm
I
not going
was
to do it.
scared, and I was like,
I almost lost my life and the baby.
No.
Yeah, so that's why the episode was kind of like hard for me.
Yeah. But everybody's okay.
bed rest.
Yeah, but it was
and it was scary.
scary. Yeah.
You know, those moments, I mean, and Tommy's a key player in this story. So when I was pregnant with my first kid, Phineas, in 2010, I was working at Nickelodeon, and we went to our 11-week scan or whatever, and I wanted to have all kinds of like hippy dippy natural water birth, you know, doula, blah blah blah. And so I was at the midwife's office, and they were like, "We want to send you uptown," and I said, "Okay." And I was like, "Can I see the scan? Can I hear the heart?" They're like, "Let's send you uptown," and they put me in a cab and sent me uptown to what we ended up calling the Medical Masters of the Universe, because they did the scan and Phineas's heart was on the wrong side of his chest. It was on in the left chamber, the left rib cage, and so, or sorry, the right. And at 11 weeks they figured this out. I know, but maybe it was a later scan. But I feel like in my mind it's the 11-week scan that they realized, okay, so this should be over here and it's over here. So then they sent me in another cab to a pediatric cardiologist, who then listened to my fetus's heart for it felt like 20 minutes. I'm sure it was like 3 minutes or whatever. Yeah. And finally, it must have been a later scan than an 11th week scan, and said, okay, everything's fine, but the baby's heart is definitely on, the wrong side of the chest. And they realized that he had this thing called a CCAM. His lungs were like Swiss cheese. And so they were so swollen that they pushed the heart to the wrong side of the chest. And so I was like, well, what does this mean? And they're like, okay, you are going to have a weekly scan. So I went into the Masters of the Medical Universe once a week for a scan. And then I had a pediatric pulmonologist. And they scheduled me for the NICU. They're like, no matter what, when you have this baby, you're going to the NICU. And it was like a crazy fluctuation of too much fluid, not enough fluid, that sort of thing. Goodness. And because they were monitoring it so much, I was just constantly on pins and needles. And I remember I was in my office when I kind of found out, when it started kind of reaching its pinnacle of drama. And Tommy walks in and he's like, hey, Beck, what's wrong? And I said, and I immediately, it was like the face of my dear friend like walks in, and I was like, and I kind of told him the whole thing, and he goes, okay, well, nothing has changed. It just, the only thing that has changed is you became a parent earlier than you thought you were going to. And he goes, so you became a parent before the baby was born. And he goes, that's all this means. And he goes, so you're going to cry it out right now with the door closed, and then I'm going to leave this room and you're not going to cry about it again. And I didn't. And so then, I mean, it was the perfect thing to say, thank you, Tommy. It was the perfect dad, big brothery thing to say. And then
she goes with brother, I go with
dad.
I
appreciate that, Linda. Thank you, Linda.
But then I had him, and they immediately rushed him into the NICU and made sure everything was okay. And by that time, his heart had moved kind of to the middle. But then at 9 months, ladies, I know everything about the history of whaling in America, because at 9 months, they took out the entire upper left lobe of my kid's lung. We sat there and learned everything there was to know about whaling. We watched a whaling documentary, and then I think we did the history of Rome. So we also know a whole lot about the Roman Empire. But yeah, so like in my dining room, I have all of these vintage 18th century whaling pieces of equipment. I know it's so random, but my parents had them in their barn. They'd gotten them at like some yard sale or flea market. And I was like, oh my God, the significance of this. So now they're hanging up as a monument.
Awesome.
Yeah, but it's like there's nothing you can do. The greatest advice that I got from the Masters of the Medical Universe was, I said at 6 months, I think it was, I said, well, my family wants to go to France. We're going to they're planning on doing the Loire Valley. Obviously, I can't go. And they were like, why?
Yeah.
And I said, well, I probably shouldn't travel, right? And go in the plane. They're like, you're going to travel. You're going to drink the wine. You're going to eat all of the cheese. You're going to live your life.
Yeah.
I came back. All of the fluids it was stress. Like they said, you need to not think about this.
Yeah.
So, so my advice to everybody is drink a whole lot and eat a lot of cheese. No, it's not my advice.
I just want to say, thank you for the kind words, and I think you give me too much credit. But there's a little bit of karma involved, because when I first met Linda, I remember we were in a meeting, and I think Christine just had Molly, and Linda's like, I'm never having kids because I have a fabulous stomach, and I remember this to this day. And then like 2 years later, she had her son. True story.
Oh, that's awesome.
That is so something I would have said. I would say
We convince ourselves of. We're like, that's never gonna happen.
I'm sure I lifted up so that you could see like
She showed off her abs in the meeting. Wow, okay.
And Tommy, thank you very much.
I remember when I met Tommy that same day or that same week, you came in and I had found some relic of something in some abandoned office at 1633 Broadway and was like, look what I found. And you're like, great, you found junk and you're putting it on your desk. That's fantastic. But you walked away and I was like, I'm going to be friends with that guy. And it came true.
There you go. There you go.
Manifest destiny.
Oh, one thing,
That
when
is
you guys should know.
I want around.
There you go. And now that you guys know Linda, and this is a go-to for us because she grew up on a farm, anytime something happens with any kind of animal, bug, plant, my kids are like, call Linda Beck. And like, you know, there's a rabid squirrel on our property. Like, call Linda. What do we do? So she always has an answer.
She's been an archaeologist,
Right.
botanist.
Yeah. No, you're an expert in insects now too. Tommy, once he sent me a picture of a katydid. I don't know if you know what a katydid is, but it's like a big, looks like a big wonky shaped, bright green grasshopper with like a humpback. Very weird looking. And he texts me and he goes, hey, Linda, what's this? And I was like, that's a katydid. And my next text was, watch out, and he sends me, he's like, it just bit Thomas. That's like, they bite. I was like, no, like real time. Like, Thomas got bitten by a katydid. I was in the middle of typing, watch out, they bite. And he's like, yeah.
Yeah, that's awful.
But the other day, my kids reversed it and said, Ellery, my youngest, said, is it called a hockey? Do you call hockey a ball game? And I said, well, let me text the expert. So I had to reverse the challenge. And it's not called a ball game.
No, it is not.
This Audrey's a season ticket holder for the Rangers, by the way. She goes to more games than I do.
They're so much fun. I can't wait for the next one. We'll actually I have season tickets to the Yankees too. So Jen's coming with me on Friday. What?
Wait, how do you have all the great benefits of living in this area? My goodness, that's awesome.
Well, she actually lives in Miami though, so she should, clear that up a little bit.
Well, right now I'm in Miami. I'm back and forth. So I'll be back up there on Friday and then I'll be back in Florida on Saturday.
Holy cow. So wait, do you have two homes that you go back from? Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, so I have a home here and I have one up in Connecticut.
All right. And please tell me you fly. You don't.
I do.
Stop.
I am not Tommy.
Stop.
No.
We keep trying to get Tommy on a plane.
Edit.
We're still working on it.
Well, we're supposed to be on the plane in June.
Cut.
Oh.
Wait, no. What was that?
June, right?
No.
June, we're supposed to be on the plane, right, Tommy?
Yeah, we're supposed to be going to Egypt.
Egypt.
What?
Yeah.
What are you doing in Egypt?
You have to film us.
In Egypt?
Yeah, so one of the early guests we had, Maggie Viola, she has a business in Egypt. She has a home, and if they build, I think they're called abayas. They're these boats that they build on the Nile River.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, you guys got to come to the pyramids. Come in June." So, yeah. So Audrey's like, "All right, we're going to Egypt road trip."
That's amazing. Oh my
Yeah, we have
gosh.
to figure out how to get Tommy on the plane.
A lot of drugs,
And he has to order all
We're
of
gonna
the
weekend
equipment.
at Bernie's him.
lot of Xanax, lots of Xanax.
We have to get a doctor's letter, and we're gonna put like sunglasses on him and like put him in a wheelchair.
I have a better idea. Spray him with as many like pumpkin pie spices as possible and then wrap him in gauze.
What the fuck?
Because and then just make him pass out and he'll be a mummy and you can say like we're returning this stolen mummy.
We're returning the mother.
But we have to give it back.
We're gonna put you on the bottom of the plane now. You're not even
Yeah, right.
All you have to do is send us a picture of you in your hat. They'll think you're an archaeologist. So she discovered the.
We got the Jersey mummy.
That's good.
We got this.
Yeah, this is so exciting. Fun trip. So you have a like somebody who's going to show you around too. That's
Oh, yeah.
like, that's even key.
But she invited us to Egypt, and she's like, "Yeah, come hang out with us."
Oh my gosh, I can't wait. I can't wait to hear all about this.
I know we're gonna go up to Maine, but that's gonna be a drive. What are we doing in Maine? Oh, we're gonna go see.
Audrey is very, I guess, connective is what we started with. So she's very, if that's even a word. So she likes to connect with folks. So we had a wonderful actress from Broadway on the show, and she's like, "I'm playing Giselle Jimenez. Like I'm playing in Waitress in Maine with all these Broadway people because Linda's an actress too. So or an actor. Sorry, she's done these. So it's like the last summer stock stage. Anyway, I'm saying too much. So Giselle's performing in Waitress in Maine, and she's like, "Guys, come up." And at the same time, and the same weekend, we're going to a weed farm with another guest we had on to sample some of his wares. So it's gonna be a fun road trip weekend to Maine.
Maine is a super, super cool place. And New Hampshire and Maine are and Massachusetts, like in Vermont, those 4 states particularly, could not be more different. So my husband's an actor and he hasn't done a show in Maine, but he's done a show in Massachusetts at Williamstown Theater and then on the Huntington stage in Boston and then also at Peterborough Playhouse. Peterborough is famous for the town of Peterborough, first of all, having the first public library in the United States, public funded library, which I think is super exciting and nerdy and wonderful. But also it's the setting for Our Town, the play that every community theater has done. Have you heard of this play, Our Town?
Yeah.
So Peterborough is a really cool place in New Hampshire. But like my whole point is that spending time in Maine, Vermont, Massachusetts, and New Hampshire, I mean, it's like 4 totally different countries. Because the people are so different and they have such different values and the way they run their lives are so different. It's so fascinating and cool. And it's just, a neat experiment going from place to place or whatever. I'm excited for you guys to go to.
And something very important to keep in mind for those that refuse to get on planes like Tommy.
Yes,
You
Tommy.
can just go to the 4 states right
There you go. I'm in. I've been to all 4 anyway. Been to all 4 of them.
Like it's like you can go to Canada, Have you been to
there.
Canada?
Love it.
Okay.
I have not. I want
What?
to. I've never been to Canada.
I've never been to Canada
What?
either.
We got to go to Montreal. It's so fun.
Yeah, because Tommy, tu parles français, oui?
I do, but don't embarrass me.
What?
Yeah, we say that. It's
Parlez-vous
I do.
français? What?
I do, but it just sounds bad. And Linda speaks French too, so it's
Un peu, oui.
yeah, same here.
Well, see,
Also, look at Jen. Yes, well,
yeah.
believe it or not, so here's a curveball. Jen is actually fluent in Spanish.
oh, Spanish, yeah. So
Oh, that's a handy skill to have.
most people don't think I'm Spanish, so
Especially
I
when you
always
look
get
Irish.
that. I look Irish?
Yeah, definitely,
You think I look Irish? Really?
absolutely.
I think
I
it's
got
green
no
shirt.
Irish.
The green
It's the green shirt. Yeah,
I had kids with an Irish person. I mean,
So technically,
I mean,
my mother's Sicilian, and when she was alive, when we were little, she would say to us,
wait, your mother's Sicilian?
yes, well, she
You
passed
should
away
stop
3 years
telling
ago.
people that, dude.
Well, it is
You were
what it is.
pale.
Exactly, I know. But she would walk around, and when we were little kids, she'd be like, "I'm Irish by injection," and we're like, "What does that mean?" And I would say it, I'm like, "Wait a minute, Mom."
no.
Yes, love your mom.
Talks.
So
Jeremy fluid talk.
Yeah, there you
That
go. We're
just
back.
brought me into a story last night. We were sitting at the dinner table and I was not thinking about what I was saying. And the kids were sitting at the table and I was like, oh, so I was talking to grandma and then so my kid's grandmother, her husband passed away not that long ago, but his brother was in the car and they were like talking and everyone's laughing. And I guess grandpa had a monster penis. And I wasn't thinking, and they said it at the dinner table. And you see my son go, Mom.
Oh my God.
Oops.
Hey, these are words you need to know, kids.
Her kids are all like 15
I
though.
want to know, like, genetically, like, hey.
Jackson's face, he was mortified. He was just like, I'm done. I'm done eating.
He just ruined that meal.
But then you're right though. Or then he's probably like, do I get that? Is that hereditary?
It's not
needs
his
to be one of those-
family.
Those things that registers on Ancestry.com when you take the DNA test. It's just like, and potential for monster penis.
Yes.
Grandpa had a huge dong. Thank you.
I wonder if when you get like those people that do like the in vitro, like the sperm donors and stuff, I wonder if part of their documentation is like and penis girth and size.
I mean, if I was,
wanted to, I feel like that would be important.
I know. I mean, you look for different qualities, right?
You have to make sure that they're well rounded in every way. Like, you know, you want a well like rounded child.
Yeah, I want a kid who is really good at physics and also has giant boobs. So, you know,
Yes. You want to make sure that academically and like physically they're prepared for the world. Oh my God. I mean, if you have an option, that I actually have a nephew that is now saying, because he now has 2 boys, that if he decides to have another child, he wants to go the route of being able to choose the sex
right.
because he wants a girl.
Yeah, you can
He wants to know that, yeah, you can.
Yeah, you can spin
That's so weird. I feel like you shouldn't do that. That's weird.
I'm kind of with you, Jen. I mean, what's weird is like there were ways that you could spin it in your favor naturally, right?
Well,
or,
yeah.
you know, like where
What I've had.
Yeah, but those are like those wives' tales. Like, I don't know if they really like. Some of them, I guess, do work because they do have those. Like,
Well,
I don't know.
Well, Audrey, you have 3 of each. So did you do anything?
Did I do anything? Yeah, didn't wear a condom.
it's amazing how that works, right?
Right?
Definitely
You
didn't.
think I'd learned.
When we booked Linda, I didn't see the show go in this direction. So
I know. I was actually sitting here and I'm having such an amazing time with you, but then I realized we're just shooting the shit and like we haven't discussed her acting or any of her like professional like.
Oh, who cares about any of that?
Yeah, we really haven't learned anything about you other than the
Shit shooting is the best. Well, okay, so what do you need to know? And then we'll get back to the shit shooting.
What do you want? Like, so I know that you've been in film.
more stage.
No, more stage,
More stage.
and TV. But I don't do that really anymore. I do voiceovers every once in a while. But
fun.
my husband is the actor of the family, and my son is the ballet dancer.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So how did you find, is it a passion for him?
It is. I mean, he's got a passion for a lot of things. He really loves math and numbers and statistics.
How old is he?
He's 11. So he can, I mean, if only it was hockey, Tommy wouldn't be so disappointed, I'm sure. But it is,
True.
but it's baseball. Like he chose a team, an underdog team at the time, and then they ended up going to the World Series last year against my husband's lifetime team of the Texas Rangers. So my son loves the Arizona Diamondbacks. All of us are like, what? Why the Diamondbacks? But okay. Yeah.
It makes it interesting.
It does, especially since there's a little bit of Moneyball we're suspecting, because we were like, why out of all the teams you picked the underdog Diamondbacks the year they go to the World Series? So we were like, what stats is he looking at? But he loves that sort of thing. But ballet is, you read these and see these kid interviews where they're like, ballet is where I can be myself. And it's lovely. That's not my kid. My kid is normal, but he's good. And he finds it like a great place to be. He loves his fellow dancers, and there are a number of boys and a number of girls, and the giggling is hilarious. When I drive them to and from ballet, they're normal kids. They're not going to LaGuardia, and that's what I think is really cool about it, is that he found it really young. He was in the back room of my other son was taking a demo class in ballet, and Ellery was in the back doing all the moves, and Phineas was like having none of it on the stage. And so then we realized, oh, it's the wrong son. And so we put him in, and he stayed with it since he was like 3 years old. So he's been doing it a long time.
Wow.
So, I don't know. And people often ask, because we live 30 minutes from New York City, they're like, well, so he's going to go to ABT, right? And I'm like, well, I don't know. He's a kid. I want him to be a kid. So, and with boy dancers, it's a little bit different than girl dancers, because boy dancers they hit their prime a little bit later, and they can start a little bit later. He doesn't have the musculature he's going to have once he goes through puberty, for one thing. So he can work on technique now, but it's not, in my opinion, crucial to get him into those intense professional or pre-professional trainings, now. So I want him to just play with his friends, like hang out on the swing in the front yard. I have the coolest, most badass swing in my front yard, Tommy can tell you.
Out.
It's awesome.
Holding out on us, Tommy.
No.
It is a terrifying, wonderful, goes out over the road. It's like so fantastic.
What?
People are terrified. Oh, it's like, I think we're irresponsible parents. They're like, you really let your kids out there? And I'm like, what are they going to do? Fall? So, it's a passion in that he shows more dedication to that than he does anything else. But we're also trying not to, Jeremy's an actor. I acted for years and went to theater school. We're not looking to make another showbiz kid until he really shows that he wants to be a showbiz kid.
That's the direction.
Yeah. My other son, Phineas, is he's 13, and he's right now, his best friend Emmy has gotten him into Dance Moms. And so now this whole level of ridicule. Jeremy's like, which dance mom do you think your mom is? And so we've got that perspective too. Like, let's avoid dance moms. But one thing, Ellery does go to this really cool ballet school where they do the Nutcracker. And the cool thing about the Nutcracker, did either one of you dance? Any of this not familiar?
No, I didn't.
No.
No, but I love theater, and I love ballet and opera and Broadway. So
yeah. So the thing about the Nutcracker is that when you do it with a ballet school and they perform it every, December, you grow with it. So you start out as a young child. That's what they're called, young children, or little children. And then you become a party guest, and then you become like a soldier, and then a bonbon, or like they level up.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So every single year they're watching everybody else do the parts that they're going to have next year, so they can start learning them, and the choreography never changes. So that's been really cool for him, and who knows where it'll go. But it just like anything that you do when you're a kid and you enjoy it, it comes back. Like horseback riding for me, it was years that I didn't ride, and now I was able to kind of trick Phineas into wanting to ride. And then I was like, since we're at the barn, I should help ride.
Why not?
Like, since we're already here. So I'm really excited today because I have a riding lesson. I have a new pair of jodhpurs. So I've not had a new pair of jodhpurs in 20 years. I've been wearing the same, like, crusty.
Because we're moms.
I know. My son has like 5 pairs of new jodhpurs.
Of course.
But I have a new pair. So this is
you get to test them out today.
I do. I know. So so the one is a ballet dancer and the other one rides horses, which I know sounds totally bougie, but it's thanks, Tommy. but it's they don't. That's the thing that they do, right?
Yeah.
Like in my town here in South Orange, it's lacrosse, fencing. Those are the 2 big ones. Fencing,
rugby,
huge. There's not really any rugby, so it's ultimate frisbee is huge. In fact, it was invented at Columbia High School in Maplewood. So ultimate frisbee and fencing are the 2 biggest sports here, and then lacrosse, and then there's soccer, and girls softball is huge here too. So my kids don't do any of those things, and so like this is what they choose to do, and we make up for it by being not bougie in other ways. Like goodness knows the last time we went out to dinner or ordered out, So I fight back when people are like, ooh, the bougie, the riding. I'm like, yeah, well, we're eating mac and cheese once.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I also don't understand like why people just can't support each other either.
I know.
This is like, why can't we just be like happy for like,
Yeah.
I was in the military, and when we were stationed down in Texas, they had a ranch on the base, and we would go horseback riding all the time. We didn't pay for it. But you can find those types of things where there's those facilities that have these horses that they're training and they're boarding, and they spend all of this money anyway. They'll let you ride their horse for $25 for an hour. There are places like this, so it doesn't have to be bougie. It can be just an experience.
Yeah.
And it's what you prioritize. Everybody's narrative is different, and I'm not sure why everybody feels the need to judge each other.
I know. I
don't
totally
know.
agree. And these hack operations, that's what it's called, hacking, if it's trail riding. And these hack operations are going the way of the dodo, because New Jersey has a hold harmless clause, and that you cannot sue if you get injured on a horse. It's ironclad. But there are other states that people are just not worth it because of injuries, and we live in such a litigious society right now. So that I'm not going to say it's bougie. It's expensive because, and that's why. I mean, we are losing open space every single day in this United States,
Crazy.
It is.
On the building everywhere. Like I was mentioning that to my friend the other day, because the town that I grew up in, there's like 100 buildings up where there's no room. And I'm like, how the infrastructure is not built to handle all this people. And it's crazy how they're just trying to jam them all in.
Yeah, and this is another rabbit hole we could go down. But I mean, it's like I grew up with space, and in where I grew up, owning horses everybody had horses, and the horses were working too, so it wasn't, that was a free activity actually, because if you had land, you just turned the horses out. I mean, we didn't always give them grain. We gave them hay in the winter, but for the most part, they could just eat what was naturally provided, and then, a spoonful of molasses every once in a while for fun.
The places I'm talking about don't have trails. They're not like trail places. Right. They're the types of like, they're retired racehorses that can't run, they can't race anymore, but it doesn't mean that they're useless. They're just not the value that the insurance was willing to pay for them.
Right.
And now they're sent somewhere else to live their life out on these farms. Then you go there and they can totally, especially if you're willing to volunteer work, then they work with you. So you volunteer at their facility, you work with them. They need that. They generate off of that. The kindness of others kind of helps them thrive and helps to take care of the horses. And then they in turn hook you up with whatever it is to safely be able to have that experience of equestrian riding. Whether some of them do have people on the premise that can train them how to show them how you're cleaning the horses and how you saddle them, how to properly check that you're at the right level and they're tight enough and they're strapped on properly. They're not hurting the horse. You won't fall off. Yeah. And then I love, people don't realize that there are things out there that they can have access to that won't cost them these like enormous amounts of money. But again, it's all about priority. What is your priority? Is your priority having experiences with your children? Then you'll figure it out. Because honestly, I didn't always have a lot of money. Yeah. I had no money, but that didn't mean I didn't experience life. I always did. We found the pools that were in the area that were free, and I went there with my kids. Or I discovered Broadway for broke people. Get Broadway tickets for like $10, $20, $35. And my kids are, you asked what type of kids we have. My two oldest are so Broadway babies. Like they grew up on like watching it and just knowing every move that these actors are making and the songs. And that's what we were singing in the car rides. They're just, my priority with them growing up was I liked musicals, so it kind of became part of their life. So I don't know. I don't see it as bougie. I see it as where there's a will, there's a way.
And there's also a way you can like be super sneaky and get the best out of it. So, when we go to the barn, we're paying for a 35-minute lesson, but we show up early and we groom the horses and we do the husbandry. And then afterwards, we if it's a nice summer day, we'll give them a nice shower and we'll bring them out and let them graze. So we're at the barn for 3 hours, even though the lesson is 35 minutes. But, like you just mentioned pools, and this is another thing. So we've got this beautiful Rahway River running through South Orange, and it's a watershed. It goes right straight into the ocean. It's this gorgeous river. And I'm constantly messing around in it and picking up turtles and like pulling knotweed out and things like that, just, like splashing around in there. And my kids know that they can go in. Well, one time these kids came to the side and they didn't see that I was under the bridge and the two kids Phineas and Ellery were in there damming something. And these kids were like, what are you doing in there? And they're like, we're playing in the stream. And they were like, well, you can't be in there. And Phineas and Ellery go, why? And they're like, because it's not your creek. And they're like, yes, it is. This is a public park. So like, we've also lost this, I think, this allowing this liberty, bestowing this on our kids, like go outside and get wet. Yeah.
Yes.
The fact that these kids didn't think that they could, they thought they had to go to the public pool to cool off. I'm like, no, just go sit in the river. Like just sit in the river.
So many
We
places.
take hikes a lot of different places.
Yeah. I go hiking with my kids a lot where there's all these places around where we live where there are these natural waterfalls and little pools that you can go swimming in. And we're all about being outside, trying to find a new little place to escape to and like swim around in the water, nature.
I think it's the way to raise good kids, you know?
How they're on the beach all the time.
Yeah.
With our kids. And we just have a day of it at the beach, just enjoying that kind of like environment of just laughter and fun and memories. And like our kids unknowingly grew up together.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And you see the like you see the way they like, it's just like when we're all together, it's like
they all have different interests, but they all mesh so well together. It's so funny.
They also go to the beach dressed as jellyfish. They should mention that too.
Yeah.
Oh,
We
that's
like
a level up.
We like costumes. We like we like just having fun. Life is too short to not have fun and to like, not just do what you want. Just do stuff to make you happy and just I don't know.
See, we're at that age where we've lost significant people in our life. So we're just like, you know what? They died like wanting to do things.
Yeah.
Wanting to see other things that they never got. And they worked so hard. And then they got to this point where like, oh, they didn't have any more tomorrows. So now we're like, what are we doing today?
Yeah. I live like there is no tomorrow.
It's not guaranteed. And while you still have to plan for tomorrow, you have to appreciate today.
That's excellent advice. Everybody listen. Excellent advice. These are smart ladies.
Yeah, don't be a Bickfingeist.
Yeah. See, I already
I love Tommy and his notes. I love how he looked.
I know.
He
phonetically wrote it down.
And it was like, I am circling back to this.
All true. All true.
How long have you been holding on to that one?
So 5 minutes in.
He was waiting. He's like, I'm going to bring it in at some point. Nice.
And
It's got me.
they're cold and like arrows are pointing at it.
Yep. Oh, so good. It's so good.
We spend an extensive amount of time interacting with Tommy now.
That's absolutely true.
I mean, I wish I could interact with Tommy more. It's mostly via text message. Although I did catch Thomas Skywalker's hockey game the other day.
That was fun.
Did.
And then we had bagels.
Linda brought the family down. It was cool. They came and saw a hockey game. A little kid hockey game. It was cool.
A little kid hockey game.
Fun.
Yeah.
It was really fun.
They've got to be faster than the old man hockey games, right?
They're pretty quick.
I think the first time I ever met Tommy was at the rink in Manhattan.
City.
And so my ex goes, look, they look really fast on TV. We're not that fast. And I'm like prepared for slower. Like, dude, some of them don't even move. The one guy that would stay on the one side and would just like go from one side of the net to the other side of the net, and to the other side of the net, and I'm like, they're not even. None of them are down there, but the goalie. What is he doing?
He's a
Little kid-
decoy. He's just a decoy, not a real player.
Little kid hockey is much more exciting than old guy hockey for sure.
Yeah, and then when they fall, you're like, oh,
There goes a hip.
Broke a hip.
yes.
Yeah.
Are they going to be able to get up?
We've definitely graduated. Like you graduate maybe in like when you're like 44 or something like that into hips. Like you're just concerned all the time about the hips because like all of my older relatives, it's once they break a hip, I'm like, oh no, we are heading downhill fast. I'm like, no matter what, mom, like be careful down the steps. Mom, like watch those hips.
Yeah. No, because they deteriorate. They deteriorate really fast once like there things like that start going on them. It's almost like you give up.
Well, oh, my mom is totally given up. I mean, not on the hip business or whatever, but you know, she always wants to take her car. So whenever we go visit her, she's like, let's take my car. Jeremy, you drive. And she gives Jeremy the keys. He's like, okay. So we get in her and it's a cute little like, you know, SUV-ish type thing. And Jeremy's driving, mom's in the front seat, and Phineas and Ellery and I are all in the back. And all of a sudden, Phineas goes, what is that smell? And I was like, it smells like smoke. And mom's like, yeah, it's coming from the car in front of us. And I was like, smells a little intense. And Ellery's like, is that smoke coming out of the vent, Grandma? And she's like, no, it's this car in front of us. And I was like, And so finally I said, Mom, this is really bad. And finally she goes, yeah, it started about 2 weeks ago. And I was like, no, it's not the car in front of you. So Jeremy's like, we are not going back to New Jersey from Virginia, leaving your mom to fumigate herself, right? So we are driving the car to the car place, which was, you could have walked to the car place from my mom's retirement community. So Jeremy calls and he's like, we're dropping it off. Mom is furious because she was planning on going another 7 months with smoke billowing out of the vents or whatever. So we drop it off. She's so mad, but she knows she can't be mad at us because she knows we're doing the right thing.
Yes.
So instead, she's an absolute monster to the people at the Fix-It station. She's just like, I have a formal dance to go to today. And they're like, okay. And I'm in the background going, you know, everybody in this community, nobody can
see
right? Not only that, but you can also walk to the dance, which is in the building that I can see from here. It was like she read them the riot act. And I was like, Mom, what is going on? And my kids were laughing so.
Because she feels stranded now.
Yeah, because
that is a lifeline for them.
It is.
They don't know how long they're going to be able to drive for. So as long as they can, they want access to that vehicle.
Audrey, she can walk to the cafeteria. She can walk to the mailbox. There's nothing my mom needs outside of that military retirement community, you know? So, like, she's there. And, yeah, but she...
A 16-year-old could walk a lot of places she drives to, too. It's all about the experience.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. It's the journey, right?
It is the journey, and sometimes you just do not want to deal with the knees cracking and the I don't know, maybe she has flat feet
Or the heat.
Or you need KK Swiffle Wiffle in the car, you know, you need on the way.
So let her take a horse.
Oh, no, you know how much trouble she'd had getting on there?
Oh
It'd
my
be,
God.
It wouldn't be worth the struggle to get on the horse.
I know. I would be so worried for mom and for the horse. I'd be like, Mom, please, Mom.
You'd have to train the horse to take the steps with it.
I know, it's true. Although, strangely, my mother-in-law, Jeremy's mom, has MS, so she can't walk a lick. She's in a scooter. She's also a brilliant physical therapist who works with babies. So she's like ripped her upper body. So we're going for a family reunion in Ohio, and I found a hack barn. So we're going to take a little trail ride. And she was like, I want to go. And so she's going riding with us. She can't walk, but she's like ready to go. And I was so I love this barn because when I called, I said, okay, so it'll be a couple adults, couple kids. And then, my mom-in-law, I said, she's got MS. And they're like, okay, great. So for 7, I was like, the MS isn't a problem. And they're like, no, it's 7 people, right? I'm like, yeah, so you'll help her get on the horse. So they were like, we have a great staff. We'll get her on. We'll make sure she's comfortable. We have the perfect horse for her. You know, so it's like one mom actually can walk, and I'm like, stay away from the horses, mom. And the other mom can't walk, and I'm like, let's get her on a horse. So it's also, it's like one mom pushing the limits of what is healthy. The other mom's just like, I'm gonna do it. They're both awesome.
Do it.
Don't get me wrong, I love them.
Yeah, that's amazing. But hey, we're all different. They're
I know.
different strokes for different folks.
Yep.
Tommy has his stuff. Jen has her stuff. We all have our things that we kind of, yeah. I have things that Jen has to pull me back on. Yeah.
What is she doing, Jen? What is Audrey doing? What dangerous things is she up to?
No, she's nothing irresponsible. She just sometimes needs
Really?
to be reined back.
Well, hold on. What'd you just buy recently?
What did I buy?
Uh-oh.
Yeah. What'd you just buy in your
pink
garage
light.
right now?
Oh, the motorcycle.
Oh, my
Okay,
motorcycle.
not for nothing. I did get her to get the better motorcycle, not the one she actually wanted. That
The one I wanted was a
Yeah, that
Kawasaki.
one I was like, no, we're not doing that. So we got something a little more like just, a little more practical to learn
Not
on.
letting me ride it until I take riding lessons. Damn it.
There you go. Good friends then.
No, we got you. Gus is like my husband trying to get like a smaller scooter. He wants her coming over and riding our ATV. Yeah, he's waiting for you to come over. He like fixed up the ATV because he wants you to learn on that. So you can learn how to like do the gear thing. I don't know anything about any of that.
You see, we have a very weird family dynamic. We are a tricycle.
Yeah.
You should start with a tricycle. You should ride a tricycle first. Then get on.
No, well, that's why she's starting on the ATV because it has 4 wheels, so she'll learn all the gear stuff.
ATVs are fun.
Yeah.
And I don't know any of the gear stuff. I just wanted I like fast things. Like I like cars. And then I was like, you know what? I think I've run the gamut of like, what other car can I ride? Oh, I haven't driven an Aston Martin. Okay, that's next on the list. And I was like, wait, a motorcycle. I've been on a back cycle, but I've never actually ridden a motorcycle. And I've always said I want one. So.
I mean, we're gonna need to send you a compilation of every Tom Cruise on a motorcycle video on YouTube. We're gonna like put it all together so that you're gonna have to look cool, which I imagine is happening anyway, but you're gonna have to look Tom Cruise cool on the motorcycle.
It's ready. It's a Ducati.
Oh, nice.
Because when her husband dropped it off at the house, he turns around and goes, dude, that's faster than my bikes. You're gonna die.
Oh my God. So where are you planning on riding this thing?
So originally I thought I was gonna ride it up there, but now I've been driving around up in Connecticut, and the roads are so uneven and there's so many potholes, and I'm learning. So I'm just gonna have it shipped down here and learn how to ride it in Florida. And they have riding schools really close to my house, so I'll just have it picked up from Connecticut, brought down to Florida. Especially now, I'm renewing the lease where I am now, so I'll just have it brought here, put in the garage, and then I'll start taking the riding classes, and then I motorcycles.
Beach rides and that's awesome.
Oh wait, so everybody thinks like you go to Florida, a convertible is the best thing to do, right?
It's too hot.
Yes.
Yeah, but your hair too doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And then your hair.
No, so if you put the windows the right way, so there's a window behind you. There's like a glass partition, and then like if you have the windows like at the right, it won't mess up your hair with the roof down. But my daughter, it was like the middle of the day, and we were in I don't even remember the car, but she's like, hey, can we put the top down? You learn the hard way. I already know what's about to happen. So I'm like, I got you, no problem.
Oh, here we go.
So there was not a cloud in the sky. She was like, I'm dying.
Just anyone who's listening, Audrey just showed a picture of her daughter Aubrey just looking in sheer terror in the convertible.
I gotta say that's an excellent pose. To really express pain and agony of being under the saddle.
But it's funny because she wants to like dabble in the voice acting.
Well,
So she's very expressive. Her Molly, you're talking about Molly, right?
Mhm.
Tommy.
Yeah, they're good friends, and Molly, actually, Aubrey did the artwork for this show, and Molly does the announcing on this.
Oh,
episode.
fun.
Yeah, so, they'll make it happen for sure.
Molly and Aubrey are actually going to a Comic-Con this weekend, and they're cosplaying.
What are they cosplaying this time? No?
Avatar.
I see. He knows more than I do.
I do. Christine's taking them, so I'm off the hook for that. So,
Yay, Christy! I texted your wife. I was like, "I love you. Thank you so much."
there you go.
Comic-Con is so weird. So I mean, I thought I was like cool going in my Star Trek t-shirt, and then I was like, oh yeah, no, I'm not at all cool. But it is a really weird experience.
Well, this isn't Comic-Con. This is a cosplay con.
Different type of
Oh, cosplay con.
So
Okay,
they
I
do-
think it's
but
Comic-Con.
They have been to Comic-Con too, and that is a totally different. Like,
That's
I
massive.
tried to go.
Yeah, it's overwhelming.
Oh my God, I tried so hard because I wanted to do it for my daughter, and she was dressed up, and I was concerned about like other people being kind of like. But
We should
then
back
I
up a second
realized-
about you because Audrey has
Oh.
some anxiety, like in public spaces. She has like serious anxiety with being in large groups of people. So that's just
Comic-Con's that. That's
Oh yeah. Well, it's gotten worse. I wasn't so bad. It's gotten worse as I've gotten older, and I walked in with her. I'd actually bought the band and everything. My cousin was there. He brought his niece, and he's older than me, and my daughter. And we're getting ready to walk in, and I walk to the arches. So it's at the Javits.
Mhm.
And I now feel lost because now there are people everywhere. I'm like turning in circles. All I did was walk in the front door. I can't breathe. I'm like sweating. My daughter sees me shaking and like turns me back around and pushes me out the door. And she's like, "We don't have to do this." And I'm like, I no. Yeah, you're so excited. I will be right here. So I just kind of stood outside and they went inside and enjoyed it, but I could not. There's so many people there. And then they're all costumed out, so you don't even know who's coming near you.
yeah.
It's like, ah.
And it's just a weird experience too, because I like the idea of a cosplay con better because it's like Comic-Con is just weird because it's every table is selling something, but some of it's related and some of it's not, and it's really, I mean, it's cool, but I mean, I only went because I had to for Nickelodeon, like walk around and whatever. But I was not myself. I was wearing somebody else's tag because they only gave so many complimentary passes. But none of the other executives, ever wanted to go. So they're like, "Well, today, Linda, you're Kathy Gallio. Today, you're this person." So I was always.
We've
And
done
then
that.
they're like, "Oh, nice to meet you, Kathy," and I'm like, "Nice to meet you too."
yeah. They were so cheap with that stuff. They were so cheap.
Yes, because you have to buy packages. So I understand this from a business perspective. When you buy the packages, you have a certain amount allocated to you, and you have to put the names and everything on it. But you want these people to go. These are the people ideally you want to be at the event because
They don't go.
But they
Yeah.
don't go. So then you're like, well, we just wasted all this money, but it's part of the whole package. So it's not just the tickets they're getting other stuff involved in that too. Some type of tax break, all of those.
Yeah.
But they have to provide a name. So what do? They're not going to know who's who.
They don't. No, I mean, really, I'm not the person. I
There's
know.
so many people there. They're not.
Yeah.
They're not cross.
they're not
If you
checking
know the
ID.
first and last name, that's good enough.
Exactly. I was working. This is when I was in college. I lived in LA for a little while, and I was working at an actors agency, or management company, and they never wanted to go to these equity showcases. So I would go to these equity showcases, but I didn't. In that time of my life, especially, I wasn't like dressing the part. So I was in, cut off khakis and like a polo shirt and Birkenstocks going to these actor showcases in Los Angeles. And but what happened was everybody thought like she doesn't care. So she must be really important. So I would get swamped. I would get swarmed by these people, and they would give me these press packages, and I was like, you have no idea. I'm an intern. I'm not even paid. I'm still at college. But, it was just kind of one of those things where the people who they wanted to come don't have any interest in being boots on the ground. And so your entry point really can be the college intern. Because if there's just this perfect balance of kind of vulnerability of the person who's been sent in the place of the important people, and like, you're like, wow, I mean, a free glass of wine? I mean, roll out the red carpet, like it takes so little to get you invested, when you're that desperate and starving. So
I can actually tell you two ends of that. So one end being I was working an event where it was professional athletes, actors, but like big names, and everything was being like handed out to these people as they were like walking through, and I ended up getting pulled out by it was like one of the photographers, and he's just like, I just need to get some pictures before everybody gets in here. Can you walk around, like whatever? So I'm like, all right, fine. Well, they started to think that I was one of the attendees. I walked out of there with everything that they got for free and so many business cards. I had free Oakleys, like free razors, but like the good ones, like $300 in the store. And the girl's like, oh my God, you know what? You probably represent one of the players, so I'll give you a boy one, but do you want a girl one? And I'm like, yeah, hook it up, lady. Everything that they had, all of the high-end stuff. I walk around with bags, and I get back to the table I'm working at, and they go, really? I was taking pictures with athletes because they had no clue. They thought I was there as part of it.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of, I just started, once they started treating me like that, I started acting like that.
Yeah.
When I was nobody, I was working there. And then I have my season tickets at the Yankee Stadium. And this was more recently, so that was years ago. And then more recently, I was sitting at a table and I'm talking to someone, and I'm at another, there were some gentlemen next to me, and I happened to get sent 2 more tickets to the game. One person was coming, and they were en route, and I had an extra ticket. So I look over, and I sit in the Legend Suites, and that's also where the tickets were given to me. And these guys are sitting there, and I'm like, hey, do any of you happen to have somebody that wasn't able to join you, or someone perhaps at the game that would like to be here? And they're like, wait, when you say here, like in the suites? And I'm like, yes, I have 1 extra ticket. The guy goes, bet. I have someone. Hold on, let me confirm. It was a guy that had come to the game with his son, but they were in the nosebleeds. So the son was 10, but now that they had 1 ticket, the guy bought the friend a ticket to get into the Legend Suite.
Aww.
And they combined them to have the both. Yeah. So, and like, that's like awesome. But the guy that was sitting directly to my left, after we had done all this, I transferred the ticket to him and everything. He looks over and he goes, I don't know who you are, but dude, you have to be somebody like important, and it is an honor for me to be sitting next to you. And it had nothing to do other than the way that I was carrying myself.
Yeah.
So the way you carry yourself has a lot to do with the way that people will treat you.
This is a lesson for everybody. True. Yeah.
So many life lessons today.
There you go. A lot of rabbit holes today.
Wholesome show, regardless of the monster penis references.
You know what? But that's in there. That's part of life. It is a very big part of life, man. You have to be able to talk about the icky fluids. Like, I remember being younger and being like super insecure about like my body and stuff, and like what would happen during sex. And now that I'm older, I'm like, why do these older guys want the younger girls? Because not for nothing, I didn't want them. I wouldn't do shit that they would like now, like back then, that I would do now. Like, I barely wanted to touch it. Like, ew.
God.
So they might look a lot tighter, but
So wholesome.
so yeah, you know what? But you have to bring it full circle,
True.
Circle.
because you need all of that in order to understand life completely.
You know what I was just obsessing about this morning, speaking of sex? I woke up and I was like, how in Elizabethan England Did these
I love this because this stuff happens to me too.
Yeah. did these trysts happen, right? So imagine you're at Whitehall Palace in London, which is gone now. But Elizabeth is there. Elizabeth I. She's very high maintenance. She needs her people around her all the time. She has her women in the bedchamber. But yet still, these ladies in waiting were constantly getting thrown in the tower for getting pregnant by her courtiers. So, but when did it happen? Because when she would go on Progress, she would have 200 more sometimes people go with her from town to town or from castle to castle or whatever. The castles were full. So, in what room were they escaping to?
Okay, so I picture more like Caligula type stuff going on back then.
Whoa.
Big orgies and...
I mean, you never know. Or somewhere in the corner.
I mean, there are a lot of hiding
Siberia.
Behind the drapes.
Like Harry Styles back there.
Yeah.
They're servicing Harry Styles in the corner.
We put a pillar in front of Harry Styles. No one is back there.
Yeah, I mean,
You could just put Jen's grandpa's dong in front of him and hide him from that.
I mean,
Plus,
it wasn't my grandpa.
a lot of stuff that had to be taken off, so I'm pretty sure that all of that was going on
How
there.
what did they do? Just slit a hole in there to kind of shove it in, or
well,
I mean, that's what I would imagine.
And Linda has an answer.
It makes it a lot.
I think costume-wise, you had many layers, but you didn't really actually have to take off the top part, right? So there was access underneath because the women needed to lift their dresses.
Oh, yeah, to go to bath.
Yeah.
But but how many women would actually want to do that? Because not for nothing, if I'm having sex, I want to be getting there. And having a big ass ring around my entire face as I'm holding it up so he could get there is not my cup of tea. I'd rather do it on my own.
Rings. I think some just had the layers of fabric, right?
Yeah. So you had, yes, there were layers, but there was a structure underneath there. So that could get in the way, but you could,
to deal with those things, and they're a pain in the fucking ass. So I'm imagining they would also have to figure out how to explain how it's broken. So they're not going to take that chance either.
Yeah, because a lot of them were made out of whalebone too. But yeah, you wouldn't want they would sew these women into these bodices. Yeah. So there was no taking off the top part for the men. In any film you see where he rips the bodice, that would never happen. But I don't know, but there were significant numbers of women who were her ladies in waiting who got pregnant, and then they'd get in so much trouble. She would be so furious. So Lettice Knowles is one woman who, the Queen's favorite, the Earl of Leicester, got her pregnant, and she threw them both in the tower, and then she banished him for months, but then she missed him so much that she invited him back. The same with Edward de Vere. He got, the Dark Lady, that's what they call her, pregnant or whatever, and the Queen was furious, threw them both in the tower. These things happen, but I'm trying to figure out, at what point in the day and where and how, and again, then you have the costume bit, okay, so are we lifting? Are we frumpy? Are we lifting back here? Are we going in the front? I'm just,
that's it. I mean, your hormones are what drive you in order to have sex, because you end up turning on chemistry, all of that. But seriously, if it's not leading to something that's more than just the heat of the moment, then I don't. I have an appointment right now. Hold on.
Yeah, what did you doctor? Oh, what did you get? Doctor's appointment at 1:00.
I thought she was really giving that thought, about mutual enjoyment in the setting.
Yeah, the doctor's appointment.
Yeah. So let's quickly wrap up because we're well over. We're 30 minutes over.
All right. We definitely have to do this again. I feel like
we chit-chatted the whole time. Sorry.
I'm so sorry, Linda. It was such a pleasure meeting you. I'm
Thank
sorry
you so
we
much
cut
for having
so short, all of a sudden. But definitely, we definitely need to set this up again. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, thank you, Linda.
Thanks for coming on, Linda.
Thank you for having me. Yeah. I know. I'm sure we'll talk again soon. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
If anybody wants to reach out to you, what would be the easiest way for them to get in contact with you?
Oh, probably my email address. That's fine. Which is lindabeckdevelopment@gmail.com. That's the one for professional.
And that'll be in the show notes.
All right. Yeah.
All
right.
Thank you, Linda.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Linda.
Talk soon. All right,
Bye.
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 1, 2, 3, 42.
Rule 42 is hosted by Audrey Cruz and Jen Burke. It is produced and edited by Tom Smith. The opening song is Rule 42 by Eddie Carr. Rule 42's artwork was created by Aubrey Cruz. And I'm your announcer, Molly Smith. Thank you for listening to Rule 42. We hope you enjoyed the show. New episodes premiere every Thursday on all podcast platforms. Please subscribe, share the show, and leave us a 5-star review on Apple.